In the year of our Lord, 1966, in Brooklyn, New York, America's sweetheart was born to Judy and Stanley Sandler. Now you might be saying to yourself, Judy Sandler, now that name sounds familiar. Is she famous? Oh yeah. I mean, you may have heard of her. She was a voice actress in the hit animated film Hotel Transylvania as additional voices. And she also played Davy's mom in 8 Crazy Nights. Now you might be asking yourself, wow, those are some real classic films, but did she ever do anything live action? Well, I'm very glad you asked. Thank you. That's super helpful. I appreciate you helping me segue this video along. Yes, she did do some live action roles. She played, the Little League announcer's grandma in Blended, but her breakout role was in 2017 when she played merry-go-round grandma in Sandy Wexler. Anyway, this video is not about Judy Sandler. This video is about her sweet baby boy, Adam Sandler. Now, Adam Sandler's career is a complicated, mixed, divisive bag. There are a lot of different ways you can look at Adam Sandler's career. Most recently, people have been really going to bat for him, saying that he got snubbed at the Oscars and he doesn't deserve the hate that he's gotten over the years from critics and the Academy alike. I think that those people are looking at his career with rose-colored glasses, and I think that if you're going to take Adam Sandler's career and celebrate the good, you have to acknowledge the bad as well. And there's some bad. There's a lot of bad.
Oh my God!
So let's do a deep dive, shall we? Let's crack open a nice cold beverage. And just let's go way back. Let's go to the beginning of his career, the beginning of Aaron Sandalwood's career, how he got his start, and figure out how we got here. They were out of limes at the grocery store, so I'm just going to put some lime juice in this.
My father the other day on the phone, he says to me, Adam, he calls me Adam, that's my name, I don't answer to Bob much. He said, Adam, remember, I want you to marry a girl who has the same belief as the family. I said, Dad, why should I marry a girl who thinks I'm a schmuck?
Now, I grew up on Angus Satchel's movies, but his stand-up was a little foreign to me. I wasn't very familiar with it, and I gotta say, he's fine. He's pretty funny, but he acts really nervous the whole time he's on stage, and I can't tell if it's part of the act or not.
Huh? A lot of good-looking girls here tonight, huh? Holy boy. All right, easy. All right, the girls, I don't like, good-looking girls kind of intimidate me a little. I get nervous talking to them. I saw this cute girl on the street today. I was with my friend. I said, boy, I wish I could ask her out, but I don't know what to say. My friend said, just ask her out. The worst she can say is no. So I asked her out, and she said, get away from me, you loser.
Maybe it's just over my head, but I really just felt like it wasn't really for me. And then, of course, he did some random stuff early on after the stand-up, but I'm not really concerned with those random acting gigs earlier in his career. I'm more concerned with the level of quality of the media where Adam Sandler, Sandal Mandel, is at the helm of the film, and at the very least, in a major role. And that brings us to the Sandman's time at SNL. Now, initially when I watched him, I thought he was just another Pete Davidson type, the guy who shows up on Weekend Update, plays himself, just talks about random stuff about his life. But the more that I watched his SNL days, I realized that he has a plethora of iconic characters and iconic songs and things like that. And I think that the Amanda Sandberg time of SNL is some of the best that the show has to offer. And I think that's why he has the elevated status as a comedian and the notoriety that he has today. I know it ain't for this shit. In 1995, Audrey Sinclair was fired from Saturday Night Live. And this was a crossroads in his career. He could have pivoted. He could have started doing movies that were thoughtful and introspective, focused on his own fear of success and greed and things of that nature. Or he could, make movies that feel like bad SNL sketches that were stretched into a movie and sucked dry for all that they're worth.
What's my name? Dunkachino. It's a whole new game. Dunkachino. You want creamy goodness? I'm your friend. Say hello to my chocolate blend. Oh my God, I'm a fat guy! Oh! Oh my God! Oh my God! My God! My God! My God! I'm a fat guy! Dunkachino.
All right, I know what everyone's thinking. But Cameron, I know Adam Sandler's stuff isn't that good now, but Billy Madison is really clever and really original.
Shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair. Conditioner is better. I leave the hair silky and...
Okay, no. But Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore is the good one, all right?
Bitch ball, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Suck my white ass ball!
Look, I know art is subjective, I know everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but 95% of Adam Sandler's movies are trash, and if you think otherwise, you're wrong. Almost all of his movies, the premise is this caricature of a human man gets into a wholly unbelievable situation, and he freaks the out. But I think the reason that people enjoy those movies in particular, you know, Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, is because Anglo-Saxon looks like he wants to be there, you know? He's happy. He's like, hey, here's my movie. It's stupid. I think it's funny. And I love it. Here you go. Nowadays, it just looks like someone coaxed him onto set, and we're actively having to watch this man realize yet again that he's been fooled into coming on screen. It's depressing. But that's what his movies were like in the 90s. You know, they weren't good. They were definitely stupid. But they had their moments, and most of all, they had heart. In 1999, however, Abigail Sunkist thought to himself, you know, making movies is great and all, but I really just feel like there's not enough money to be made in starring in movies, writing movies. You know, I need to produce movies. And more than that, I need to own the production company behind it. That's correct, friends. In 1999, Adam Sandler, Autumn Sorkin, founded Happy Madison. Now, the first few years of Happy Madison Productions, the movies weren't that bad. You got Mr. Deeds, you got 50 First Dates, Anger Management, The Longest Yard remake, Joe Dirt, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo, and The Hot Chick. All right, so maybe they were bad early on, but maybe there's just more of a balance, you know, some okay, some bad. But you may have noticed that some of the movies that I mentioned are not even starring Aaron Saperstein. First of all, that's a very sharp eye, boys and girls. Good on you. Very, very, very astute observation. And that is because not only did he support himself financially with Happy Madison Productions, but he also continues to support his less talented friends, his ugly stepchildren. And the most egregious of these are Kevin James, David Spade, and Rob Schneider. The unholy trinity, the sons of Sandler, if you will. And if you think that Ant-Man Springer's, if you think his movies are bad, just wait until you see the ones he lets his friends star in. You know, of course, with Kevin James, you have Paul Blart Mall Cop and Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Revenge of the Mall, and Zookeeper, Dawn of Justice. And that's really his legacy, which is super cool. But in addition to this source of income, Abel Sunburn, he not only puts his friends in their own movies, but he also lets them cameo in just about every one of his movies as well. Especially Rob Schneider. Like, he's in every single one of his movies. For some reason, he has this idea that Rob Schneider is like this ethnic chameleon. He's had him play a Mexican, he's had him play an Asian man, he's had him play an Israeli. I mean, I guess him as an Israeli kind of makes sense. But anyway, the point is, he puts his friends in these movies just as an excuse to give them millions of dollars for putting in no effort and just putting out garbage films. Now, you may be thinking to yourself at this point, okay, so what's the big deal, Cam? You know, Adam Sandler, he's just trying to make millions for him and his friends. He just wants them to be supported. Where's the harm in that? Well, frankly, boys and girls, I'm a little disappointed that you would ask me something like that. You know, I thought we had more of an understanding. You take everything I say at face value, make my opinions your own. Again, thought we had more of an understanding, but I will try and humor you as much as possible with my answer. Well, for starters, I'd say that people don't deserve to be awarded financial gain when they're putting out garbage and calling it art, but that's just me. But more than that, when people like Adam Sandler and his friends take millions and millions of dollars off the top, that means that not only does the production of the movie suffer, but also the crew that works on it takes a hit as well. Now, I don't know that for certain, you know, it's all alleged, but when a movie like Grown Ups has a budget of $80 million and they filmed it in a water park and on the side of a hill, you gotta wonder where all that money goes. And on top of that, The movie made over $270 million. This is known as embezzlement. Now, obviously, we know all the movies not starring Adam Sandler that have come out from Happy Madison have always sucked, but his own movies have had a more gradual decline. It's like obesity in that way. You know, you start out, it's a little hard to button your pants, and then suddenly your shirt's a little too tight, and then before you know it, they're pulling you out of your bed with a crane. However, I feel that the nail on the coffin for his career, or the crane over the bed, if you will, is Jack and Jill. Won't talk about this movie too long, but it is a prime example of a film that is more commercial than movie. If you want to see a more in-depth discussion of how much of a scam this movie is, go check out Red Letter Media. They have a Half in the Bag episode on it. It's a few years old now, but it's very insightful. But I just want to say one thing about Jack and Jill. Why the f*** are there no people in that airport? So this movie takes place in LA, right? So obviously this airport more than likely is supposed to be LAX. There is no time of day where there would be nobody in baggage claim at LAX. I mean, my God, the movie has a budget of $79 million. You couldn't have found some money somewhere to get a few more extras in the shot other than the one janitor that's there just so the Sandman can make his one daily racist joke? You can get Kevin James in the background, all right? Rob Schneider can be his seeing eye dog, and David Spade can be his kid. Wouldn't that be funny, Adam? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Anyway, that movie's been examined to death, you know, and raked over the coals for its product placement and everything. But I did want to see if we could examine one of his other movies to see if it's just as shameless in its product placement, among other things. So we made a drinking game out of it. Patrick and I watched Pixels, and we drank every time there was product placement, bodily humor, farting, pooping, physical harm humor, anytime somebody gets hurt for laughs, cameo from any number of Adam Sandler's friends. Anytime Sandler does that weird yelling thing he does, not an offense really, but I just thought it'd be fun to add that to the list. And any cheap racist / classist joke that Sandler decides to make. All right, so here we are watching Pixels. We're going to be playing a drinking game with non-alcoholic, disgusting beverages.
It is the color of
Here's
chemical.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But we realized that if we drank every time that one of these things happened, we'd be drinking for the entirety of the movie. Correct. So we're just going to drink the first time it happens, and then after that we're going to just tally it up and see how many times these things happen. Let's watch.
It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. We drank shots.
We're here live on the commentary for Pixels, and Adam Sandler's installing a Sony TV and a PlayStation 4, so, you know, you gotta turn up for that.
Well, at least I wasn't wrong about how bad it is.
Oh my God. Pat, just in case, let's remind the people what we have in this drink right now. Let's just tell me.
Vegan Worcestershire sauce, Dijon mustard, sugar, salt, cinnamon, sriracha, green food dye, imitation banana flavoring, cashew milk.
Nice.
The water.
Great. You didn't like it when the Asian guy's hand got bit off? That was pretty funny.
That was so funny. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the whole movie coming.
It's pretty good.
It's just...
Hey guys, update. Pixels is a really bad movie. And also Josh Gad just said something about pooping pants, so that counts. It's getting worse as it sits. My stomach is going to be real messed up after this.
This was just such an obvious attempt for him to get money based on the nostalgia wave that's come through in the past, 5 years. And what is there to show for it? A stupid movie. It's not good, and it does not memorable in any way. And is sexist and stupid. I don't know what else to say about it. It's bad.
Bottoms up.
Oh, it lingered for too long. Oh. Oh, the closer to the bottom we get, the worse
Yeah, I
it
know.
gets.
So as much as Cameron and I were paying attention to the movie and its riveting plot, we're also trying to pay attention to the criteria that he just said. There were 15 counts of product placement, 6 counts of bodily humor, 4 counts of physical humor. There was only one of Adam Sandler's friends in it. We were expecting Rob Schneider to show up at any moment, and he didn't.
Maybe we missed him.
We might have. Maybe he was in the crowd running in New York or wherever. And there were 2 racist/classist jokes. But there was no Adam Sandler yelling. And the reason why there's no Adam Sandler yelling is because he was so passionless about this movie. He didn't even care enough to yell when the kid got abducted, which we should have had a category for child acting because holy crap.
Gilmore, what is it?
You know that when that lady picked up the Bud Light bottle, they had to be like, no, make sure the bottle's turned so you can see the thing. There's nothing else to say. Cameron, please. Hate this movie.
Anyway, the point of this was to show that even though some of his staples may waver from movie to movie, you know, you got more or less bodily humor in one movie or the other, the product placement reigns true. No, I didn't watch all of Adam's Happy Madison movies because I would get brain damage. But there are a few standouts in his filmography that I would like to touch on, and I feel like they stand out as movies that are actually good. You know, some uncut gems in the rough, if you will. Funny People is a movie starring Seth Rogen and Adam Sandler, obviously. It's a Happy Madison movie, and in it, Adam pretty much plays himself. He's just a comedian who is just wildly successful, and he stars in these movies that have these really awful, nonsensical premises, but everyone loves him for it, and they respect him, but he's just wildly depressed with how his life has turned out. It's a pretty decent movie. It's not really funny, but it is engaging, and it's also intriguing to think that this might be the way that Adam Sandler sees himself. And it's even heartbreaking to think that this might be the way that he handles the hate and the criticism that he gets from, you know, these armchair critics who really have no credibility whatsoever, and they're just trying to get a laugh at someone else's expense. What? The movie's 2.5 hours long. It's not paced very well. It's pretty lengthy for an Adam Sandler vehicle. It starts off with this premise of Adam Sandler finding out that he's got this rare form of leukemia that he's going to die from. But then a little over an hour into the movie, he beats the leukemia, and you'd think that would be the turning point of the movie. But no, he's still just left with this overlying question of what does my life really mean? They could have gone somewhere interesting with that, but instead they have him try and break up his ex-fiance's current family, and he fails at that, and then he fires his assistant Seth Rogen, and then he immediately feels bad about doing that, so he goes to see him at his crappy deli job, and he pretty much just tells him it's all going to be okay. It sounds worse than it is, I think. The ending is actually okay. It just needed to be set up a little bit better. But the important thing to take away from this movie is the concept behind it feels genuine, it feels introspective, it feels self-aware, and most of all, it feels like it could have been a turning point in Sandman's career. You know, maybe after this movie, he held his own films to a higher standard. Maybe he made sure that the movies he put out had a genuine vision behind them and didn't just look like a soulless, cheap excuse to make as much money as possible. Nope. You know what came out the same year as Funny People? Paul Blart Mall Cop. But Cameron, Paul Blart Mall Cop's not even an Adam Sandler movie. It's Kevin James. Yeah, you know what came out the next year? Grown Ups. A few years later,
Jack and Jill.
I mentioned earlier that Adam Sandler's SNL days reminded me a lot of Pete Davidson on SNL, and in addition, his stand-up reminds me a lot of Pete Davidson's most recent special. Now, Davidson is an equally divisive character in the comedy world, and his recent Netflix special, I gotta say, it's not good. It's just not good. I didn't find it funny, but what I can appreciate about Pete Davidson is that he puts a lot of his personal life into the stuff he puts out. Davidson's actually got a movie out this year called Big Time Adolescence. Haven't seen it yet, but from what I've seen about it, it does remind me a lot of Sandler's Funny People. And it just makes me wonder, you know, I can't help but think maybe things could have been different between Adam and I if he had just gone this way with his career, you know, put out more personal movies instead of these fraudulent excuses for films. I could have been his biggest fan. his Stan even, his Sandman Stan, his Stanler. But no, he had to put out bedtime stories. So Hal and I already did a review of Uncut Gems, so I won't talk about that too extensively, but I do want to touch on Adam Sandler's performance in the movie. In the film, he plays a scumbag, you know, a guy who's just trying to gamble or scam people out of their money as much as possible. One might call that a typecast. No, but seriously, Sandler is perfect for this role. You can really tell that he's giving it his all, and he definitely comes off like this guy who's selfish and he's down on his luck, but he's doing whatever he can to catch a break. And Sandler seems like he wants to be there too. He is really proud of what he's bringing to the table, and he doesn't have the stoic look that he has on his face in so many of his other movies. He compliments the film compliments him. Nobody chugs Pepto-Bismol. It's great. Another movie that people revere as one of Adam Sandler's best movies of all time is Punch Drunk Love. Now, I'd never seen this movie before doing this, and once I decided to make the video, I knew I'd have to watch it at some point. So on a brisk Sunday afternoon, I wrapped myself up in my little blanket, I hopped on my little comfy couch, and I strapped in for what I could only assume was going to be a Sandman classic. And my dear little boys and girls, I must say, it's pretty good. Yeah, I really like this movie a whole lot. I've mentioned in the past that I'm a sucker for color schemes in movies, and this movie is beautiful. You got the pink tones, you got the blue tones, you got the bright shining light whenever Lena's in a scene. Paul Thomas Anderson is on 10 with the directing. Every shot in this movie looks thoughtful and fantastic. But as good as this movie is, as thoughtful as I think it is, as beautiful as it is, Sandler's performance is the best quality. With this movie, a lot like Uncut Gems, you're not really thinking about Adam Sandler as a person, you know, how he likes to make racist jokes, about how he relies heavily on slapstick humor, about how he peed in the pool that one time with his friends. No, you're thinking of this guy who has a lot of social anxiety, a lot of pent-up aggression, but at the end of the day, he's just fighting to be with the woman he loves. It's a thoughtful, understated performance that up until watching Punch Drunk Love, I didn't even realize Adam Sandler was capable of. Now, the reason that I wanted to touch on these two movies in particular is because neither of them are Adam Sandler movies. He didn't produce them. They're not produced by Happy Madison Productions. He didn't write them. He just starred in them. They are fully someone else's vision, and they turned out great. Now, I'm not trying to say that Sandler isn't talented. These movies more than prove that he is. He's funny, he can be original, he's capable of giving an engaging performance, but the problem is when he's left to his own devices, he doesn't hold himself to that same standard. When Adam Sandler writes, directs, and produces a movie, we can't even laugh at how bad it is because we know that he's capable of so much better. Now, I understand that he has to make money, but when you look at a movie like Uncut Gems that has a budget of $19 million and it looks like this, you can't help but scoff when you look at a movie like Jack and Jill that has a budget of $79 million and it looks like an SNL sketch that they filmed on a soundstage. So what's the bigger picture with this video? Am I telling you to cancel Adam Sandler? Is he getting Me Too'd right now? No, oddly enough, Adam Sandler has been married since 2003, and as far as I can tell, no allegations of that kind have come out against him. And I'm also not telling you to cancel him because a lot of the stuff that he's put out is super bad and cringy. That would be hypocritical of me. I'm just saying to take Uncut Gems with a grain of salt. You know, it doesn't mean that he's only going to put out quality movies going forward. We've seen that with his work in the past. And he actually even clarified that after the movie got snubbed at the Oscars. I guess what I'm trying to say is hold Adam Sandler to a higher standard. We've seen what he's capable of, whether that be thoughtfully portraying a certain character or how thoughtlessly he can handle a film. And we as an audience have to keep calling him out on the ladder, so we can get more of this. And less of this. Why the f*** are there no people in this airport?
This is good. This is good stuff.